Alright, a homecoming. Ezio and Sophia have arrived at Masyaf after many weeks of travel. Time to open the library. Walk with Sophia to the library door.
Over here. Such a climb. È così bello qui. This is where your order began?
It began thousands of years ago, but here it was reborn.
By the man you mentioned, Altair?
Altair ibn La'ahad. He built us up and set us free. He saw the folly of keeping a castle like this. It had become a symbol of arrogance and a beacon for all our enemies.
And the mandate for menacing hoods? Was that his idea as well? You mentioned a creed before. What is it?
Nothing is true.
Everything is
permitted.
That is rather cynical.
It would be if it were doctrine, but it is merely an observation of the nature of reality. To say that nothing is true is to realize that the foundations of society are fragile, and that we must be the shepherds of our own civilization. To say that everything is permitted is to understand that we are the architects of our actions, and that we must live with their consequences, whether glorious or tragic.
Do you regret your decision to live as an assassin for so long?
I do not remember making that decision. This life, it chose me. For 3 decades, I have served the memory of my father and my brothers, and fought for those who have suffered the pain of injustice. I do not regret those years, but it is time to live for myself, and let them go. Let go of all of this.
I love the part where he explains the creed to her.
Then let go. You will not fall far.
Ezio, I think it's time for you to retire, and I think she has probably introduced you to the next phase of your life. In fact, if I were you, I'd say she is the next phase of your life. Here it is. Here's that door we saw so long ago.
The end of the road.
And now to figure out how to use the keys to complete the puzzle.
What do you hope to find behind that door?
Knowledge, above all else. Altair was a profound man and a prolific writer. He built this place as a repository for all his wisdom. He saw many things in his life, and learned many secrets, both troubling and strange. Knowledge that would drive lesser men to despair.
Does that worry you?
Whoops.
What do you hope to find behind that door?
Oh, whoops.
Knowledge, above
They're
all else.
restarting this conversation?
Altair was a profound man and a prolific writer. He built this place as a repository for all his wisdom. He saw many things in his life, and learned many secrets, both troubling and strange. Knowledge that would drive lesser men to despair.
Does that worry you?
Sophia, you should know by now that I am not a lesser man.
Ezio.
Ha. Got it.
You had better come out of there alive.
I plan to.
Oh yeah, they in love. Ezio, if you don't marry that girl by the end of this. What is that up ahead? Is that a body just sitting there? Wait a minute. Is that Altair, or what's left of him? I recognize the robes. Oh my gosh. Huh. There's hardly anything in this look at this, look at the shelves. There's hardly any books in here. There's hardly anything in here. Did I just find the final
No
resting
books.
place of Altair?
No wisdom. Just you, fratello mio.
Another key.
Requiescat in pace, Altair.
Does Altair have one last memory for us through this key? Looks like it.
You have seen to my books.
Yes. Some we sent with the Polos. The rest will go with me to Alexandria.
Good. Very good.
Father, I do not understand. Why did you build a library if you did not intend to keep your books?
You should go. When the Mongols return, Masyaf must be empty.
I see. This is not a library at all. It is a vault.
It must stay hidden, Darim. Far from eager hands. At least until it has passed on the secret it contains.
What secret?
Go, son. Go be with your family. And live well.
All that is good in me began with you, Father.
Aww. This is sad. Saying goodbye to his son. So he locked himself in here, just planning to die in here, pretty much.
In much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
Al
What does
Mualim,
it tell you? What do you see?
Maria.
Strange visions and messages of ones who came before. Their rise and their fall.
But what happens to us, Altair? To our family? What does the apple say?
Who were the ones who came before? What brought them here? How long ago?
Get rid of that thing!
This is my duty, Maria. Maria? Where are you? Where is she?
Gone, Father. You do not remember? She's gone.
Oh gosh. Oh, it's so sad to see Altair reach this point and to hear some of that. You know, when you spend an entire game with a character, you kind of grow attached to him.
If you are asked, say I sent the apple away. Tell them I sent it to Cyprus, or Cipango, or that I dropped it into the sea. Tell them anything to keep men away from this place. This apple must not be found. Not until the time is right.
Sit a moment and rest. So he put the apple in there. So that's what Ezio's gonna have to use, I guess, to open it. So he sealed the apple away in the vault, and then he decided to just sit here and just wait until death. Oh, Altair, you are a long ways away from those days where you and I would jump rooftops in Jerusalem, Damascus, Acre. We are so long from those days. But it was fun, wasn't it? It was a good ride. Farewell, Altair ibn Ahad. We shall never forget you. So there we go, Ezio. That was his last message for us. Well, now you know where it is and how to open it. Find Altair's Apple of Eden. There it is. It was actually already open.
Another artifact. No. You will stay here.
Huh.
I have seen enough for one life.
Yes, you have, Ezio. It's time for you to retire. Whoa!
Desmond?
He's talking to me?
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago. And now it lingers in my mind, like an image from an old dream. I do not know where you are, or by what means you can hear me. But I know you are listening. I have lived my life as best I could, not knowing its purpose, but drawn forward like a moth to a distant moon. And here at last, I discover a strange truth. That I am only a conduit for a message that eludes my understanding. Who are we, who have been so blessed, to share our stories like this? To speak across centuries. Maybe you will answer all the questions I have asked. Maybe you will be the one to make all this suffering worth something in the end. Now,
Whoa.
listen.
They actually got to speak to each other. Oh, these guys
Do you
again.
hear me, Cypher? Can you see me? Ah, there you are. Good. A strange place, this nexus of time. I am not used to the calculations. That has always been Minerva's domain.
Could you be the one to explain me what the heck is going on?
I see you still have many questions.
Yes.
Who were we?
Yes.
What became of us?
Yes.
What do we desire of you?
Yes, those are all valid
You will
questions.
have your answers. Only listen, and I will tell you how.
Finally.
Both before the end and after, we sought to save the world. We built vaults within which to work, each dedicated to a different method of salvation. They were placed underground to avoid the war which raged above, and also as a precaution should we fail in our efforts. Each vault's knowledge was transmitted to a single place. It was our duty, mine, Minerva's, and Juno's, to sort and sample all that was collected. We chose those solutions which held the most promise, and devoted ourselves to testing their merits. 6 we tried in succession, each more encouraging than the last. but none worked. And then the world ended.
I have a feeling the audio is going to be really low for this because I have the music turned down really low. Which, if I recall, that affects the movie or cutscene music. But this is probably like only the second one we've had in this game, apart from the intro movie. So I apologize for the very low audio in this cutscene here. But as you guys can probably understand, I'm trying to avoid any copyright stuff with any music. But it sounds like it's only playing music anyway in the background, not actual dialogue, just music and sound effects. But you're seeing basically the gist of what this guy was saying. He said the world ended, and now he's actually showing you that the world supposedly ended. That apparently there was an apocalypse in this civilization that happened. Yikes. When they say the world ended, they're not kidding. Alright, you can't hear them, but they're the subtitles. I can barely hear them in my headphones, so I'm guessing you guys can't hear them either. Uh-huh. Alright.
Wait,
so,
look, his vitals are stabilizing. Something's happening. He's moving.
In case I have to cut that out for copyright reasons, you basically just saw the apocalypse and, you know.
Son?
Oh, looks like Desmond's back. Oh, and there's the apple.
I know what we need to do.
Revelations. And yes, in case you are wondering, yes, that is the ending of this game. Another cliffhanger ending, huh? Alright, let me turn the audio down here. No crucial audio, just music or, you know, and such. The credits here are kind of long. So, it's time for me to talk about something here. So, yes, that ending, as you would imagine, was setting up for the next chapter in the story, which would take place in Assassin's Creed 3, where we would finally try and figure out what is going on, what are they building to, the answers we would get for this whole story that has been told since the first Assassin's Creed game, that it was all going to end and culminate in Assassin's Creed 3. We were going to get an ending to this. And let me tell you guys something. So, you guys, as I said before, I really like this game because I love that we get conclusions to Altair's story and Ezio's story. Now, fortunately for this Ezio collection, there's actually a bit more to Ezio's story. We saw Altair's death, we didn't see Ezio's. But there is a short little animated movie included in this called Embers, where it actually shows Ezio even older. He's retired from the assassins. He's no longer the mentor. He actually went with Sophia. They got married. They went out to just live out in the country. They had a daughter. And you see Ezio just towards the end of his life. He's trying to relax. Something happens. I'm not going to say what it is because you guys should see it yourself. And then at the end, we see him pass on. And it's emotional, because we've played Ezio for 3 games, so we grew attached to this character. For many of us, he is still our favorite assassin, myself included. Ezio is my favorite assassin. And it was sad seeing that, but that's part of the reason why I like this game, is because we get the conclusion. Oh, and ignore this. It's just reconstructing the island to give me a reason to go back and do the stuff that I didn't finish. But, you get this. Yeah, you get this stuff. But you get this nice wrap-up and conclusion to both Altair and Ezio's story, and to me, this is a better way to end this story than what we got in the next game. So here's the thing, guys. Leading up to the release of Assassin's Creed 3, the hype was crazy. Everyone was excited for this game. Everybody was hyped for numerous reasons. One, they announced we were finally going to get a brand new assassin. His name was Connor. The game was going to take place during the Revolutionary War, when America would rise up from the Britons and take our country. And we would be playing a Native American who was involved in this. He would get to meet George Washington. He would get to be involved and meet all these people, Ben Franklin. You would get to explore the original colonies. All this stuff was promoted and hyped so much for this game. It showed the combat was going to be better. We're going to have new weapons like a tomahawk and such. And on top of that, we were going to get the conclusion to the Desmond storyline. It was going to show the next chapter where they got to this place, and they were going to be trying to get into this place where supposedly they were going to be able to save the world. And let me tell you guys something. I was one of those, in line at GameStop, when the game came out, I picked up my copy, and I was so excited. I was so happy to pick this up, and I was so ready to play it. And it ended up being one of the biggest disappointments for myself and many of the fan base. To this day, we consider it one of the biggest disappointments in the series. It was not quite as good of a game as we were hoping, and it ended up having one of the most frustrating, disappointing endings that any of us have ever experienced. The way they ended Desmond's story was so insulting to the character. It was just... So, I'm letting you guys know right now, I made an executive decision about this series of games and playthroughs. Usually, I like to do games kind of chronologically. However, I have decided that I am going to be skipping Assassin's Creed 3. I really don't have any interest in replaying that game. First off, I would have to go back to PS3. Second off, the game is such a disappointment for me that I just would not really be having any fun playing it. And it would show in my commentary. I wouldn't really be excited to be recording the game for you guys. I want my videos to be enjoyable and entertaining for you guys to watch. And I don't want my lack of good commentary to be a hindrance to that. And in order for that to happen, I have to be in the right mindset, I have to have a good amount of energy, and I have to enjoy what I'm playing and recording. If I'm not enjoying it, it's going to show in my commentary, and it's going to hurt the quality of the video you guys are watching. So, because of that, I don't want to have to play through another, the disappointing game for me that was Assassin's Creed 3, and I'm going to be jumping past that straight into the game that took place after that, which after what happened with Assassin's Creed 3, many of us thought, okay, perhaps we're done with Assassin's Creed. Maybe it's now getting to the point where we don't want to play it anymore. However, the following game, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, ended up being one of the absolute best games in the entire series. And because of that, In fact, it is my personal favorite game in the entire series. So I'm going to be skipping 3 and going right into Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. But if you're wondering, like, because since I'm going to skip it, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys a moment what happened that disappointed me so much. So, ignoring all the stuff with Connor, all that stuff, which you also get to play his dad, who is a Templar, by the way. Yeah. So, of those 3 civilization god-like people, Juno is the one who shows up, and she's kind of urging Desmond to progress here. And then they get into the secret room that apparently has the answer that they need to save the world from the apocalypse, from everything, from the world ending. Again, apparently. And by the way, this was supposed to that game was supposed to tie in, like, with the what was it? The calendar of the, I don't know, the Incans or something? I forget what it is. But apparently on that calendar, it was predicting the end of the world. And so the game actually was playing on that. Yeah, and the way the game ends is Juno wants Desmond to do something. Minerva steps in and says, no, you shouldn't do that because it'll free Juno and then she will apparently be able to rule the world. So apparently we're finding out only now that Minerva says that Juno wants to rule the world, and Juno doesn't really deny it. She says that Minerva would rather doom the world than save it. Minerva says, yeah, but if we save it, you will get to be free and control everything and rule the world. Is pretty much what she's implying. And she tries to show Desmond in his head, Minerva does, the outcome of the choice that he would make of not saving the world. And Desmond pretty much says, yeah, guess what? There's no hope in that choice. If we do have hope if we go with Juno's direction. And Minerva's like, okay, fine, you made your choice. But apparently this choice is going to kill Desmond. Yeah. So the others don't really force Desmond to stop or anything. They just let him do it because apparently it's the only way to save the world. And Desmond does it. He saves the world, but he instantly dies. And then Juno's like, all right, good job, Desmond. You did your part. Now it's time for me to do mine. She steps over him, and apparently she goes on to rule the world, as it implies. But then it shows, hey, the world is saved from this apocalypse thing. And that's how the game ends. And keep in mind, guys, this was... Oh, gosh, when was it? Was it around the time that Mass Effect 3 also had its awful ending that everyone was outraged at? I'm trying to remember which came first, Assassin's Creed 3 or Mass Effect 3. Because at this point we were going, what is going on with the endings in these games that they can't give us a nice, conclusive, resolute ending to these stories? Why are we getting these terrible endings to these stories that we have invested so much time, so many hours, countless hours into, that we go through these journeys, and then at the end, it pretty much gives us a non-satisfactory ending that just makes us feel like we're insulted that this is the ending we get after investing so much. And it was that disappointing feeling that just made everything that I had done in Assassin's Creed 3 feel like it was not worth it. Because let me tell you guys something. Assassin's Creed 3 is a big game. There's a lot in it, but there's more quantity than quality. There's a lot of stuff in it that I did not really enjoy or didn't have any interest in doing. I mean, this, and then the DLC for that game comes out, which also was advertised and hyped to no end. King George Washington. An alternate reality where George Washington, instead of becoming president, he becomes an evil king that rules over America like a tyrant with the power of the apple. And in this 3-part DLC, yes, it was an episodic 3-part DLC, like a Telltale game, we got special animal powers Connor did that could let him be able to get through the DLC and end up using them to defeat King George Washington and free him from the corruption of the apple. And unfortunately, I had more fun and enjoyment playing that DLC than I did the actual main game because the animal powers added to the gameplay really well, especially the power of the eagle that could let you just immediately fly to one of those vantage points that you could use to jump off. Rather than have to do the long climbing that you're used to in Assassin's Creed, you could just use the eagle to fly up there or fly to another point and then immediately just use that to take out a bad guy, like, you know, with the, instead of an assassination. It was more fun in that regard. And I said, when the DLC is more fun than the base game, that's a problem. Because if they had had that in the main game, it would have made the main game much better. And it just, it's one of the biggest disappointments in a series with a story that I've ever experienced. You know, and the fact that it has the conclusion to Desmond's story, and the conclusion is so awful, it just, I can't do it. I cannot play through it again. It's one of those where I absolutely just cannot play it again. Okay, so there's no skip option here. That's unfortunate. I'm trying to remember if there's anything. I don't think there's anything at the end of the credits here. But I mean, yeah, it's, the funny thing is it also introduced the whole gameplay aspect of controlling your own ship and using it in naval battles. And that was one of the best parts of the game. In fact, a lot of people said this is one of the best parts of this game. And then they said, hey, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is coming out. So that stuff you liked in Assassin's Creed 3, we're going to make an entire game out of that. And so you end up playing someone who ends up being the grandfather of Connor from Assassin's Creed 3. And it turns out it not only is a great Assassin's Creed game, but the appeal is that it is probably the best pirate video game of all time, alright? I'm just going to go ahead and do the quit option here. I don't think there's anything else here. I think it's just going to throw me back onto the... Okay, so it just took me back to the main menu. So, yeah, that is Assassin's Creed Revelations. I really like this entry in the series because of the conclusion it gives to both Altair and Ezio. It's entry I think is very underrated. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to be skipping Assassin's Creed 3. And the next time we delve into the Assassin's Creed series, we will be delving into the Caribbean in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I'm DJ Neeks, and I will see you guys next time.